Despite Amazon trying to lie to us all, the Rings of Power is failing. Just how bad has it gotten? Stick around and I'll tell you. Hello, I'm Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster. The Rings of Power is the bad thing upon which all bad things must be compared. It's a soulless cash grab that's making no cash. It's a heartless DEI Frankenstein's monster of modern-day wokeism with the barest hint of Tolkien sprinkled in. Simply put, the Rings of Power sucks. Don't take my word for it, though. The numbers speak for themselves. No, not the numbers Amazon keeps touting. Those are misleading lies. When third-party agencies actually track what's going on, we're seeing a sharp decline in the show's performance after the second episode. How bad, you ask? Acolyte bad. Yes, The Rings of Power, the most expensive show ever made, with a price tag in the billions, is doing similar numbers to The Acolyte. People apparently tried to give this show a second chance, but pop culture arsonists J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have proven to be so inept that they learned nothing from the first season's utter failure. Instead, they doubled down on everything everyone hated and somehow managed to make the show more bland, more unrelatable, and more downright appalling to Tolkien fans. So now this begs the question, is this show headed for cancellation? Will it truly follow in the footsteps of The Acolyte? Amazon was hell-bent on giving this show the full 5-season order it intended, but based on these numbers, oofa. Let's watch a bunch of J.J. Abrams' disciple hacks fail today on Tooneytown TV. Oh boy, will you look at that headline. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2 gaining steam with 40 million viewers in the first 11 days. That sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it? And this comes to us from Deadline and Katie Campione, or Champion, or whatever you say that. But this is Deadline, folks, which is the shilliest of the shill media. So let's have a look at what they are talking about. Remember, Deadline was one of the ones that, got leaked the information on The Acolyte being canceled, aka they have a direct pipeline to studios like Disney, Lucasfilm, Amazon Prime, etc., etc. So they said The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2 is picking up steam, according to Amazon. Now, that's the biggie here. According to Amazon. Folks, do not believe a word that Amazon tries to tell you about this show. They're the ones that said Season 1 was a rousing success. And that was, by all accounts, an objective failure. 63% of the audience abandoned the show between the first episode and the last. In the 11 days since it premiered, the second installment has amassed 40 million viewers, with 4 episodes currently available. Jennifer Salke, head of Amazon MGM Studios, also the biggest liar that's ever lied. She is a J.J. Abrams disciple, this Jennifer Salke, along with J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, the showrunners of this show, revealed in an internal memo to staff on Tuesday. Now, Jennifer Salke was also the one who, when the attenuation numbers came out, by that I mean the number of people who failed to hang on to the series from season 1's premiere to season 1's finale, she was the one who denied that and was like, well, that doesn't reflect the conversations I'm having behind the scenes, because, yeah, of course they're not.
I have never heard so many lies in my entire life other than when I was saying them.
So it has been number 1 on Prime Video globally, which is not that hard to do, guys. It's got The Boys. It used to have Mrs. Maisel, and none of those are new right now. So, yeah, not many people. I've never heard. I don't know a lot of people who are like, let's watch that new Amazon Prime show, unless it's The Boys. And it's now one of the streamer's top 5 TV seasons of all time in terms of total viewership through 11 days, Salke says. Again, take this with a grain of salt. We're going to dissect this in a minute. According to the memo, tens of millions have tuned in to season 1 since early August, likely in preparation for season 2's August 29th debut. We've seen an impressive amount of our Rings of Power customers coming from outside the U.S., which is a testament to the show's resonance with global audiences and the remarkable growth of Prime Video customers worldwide, the memo read. It's likely that Salke is actually referring to the number of accounts that watched as opposed to actual number of viewers, since it would be impossible for Amazon to measure how many people were viewing at the same time while an account was streaming the content, a capability that Nielsen has due to its own data on how many people live in the household the company measures. Amazon tends to report viewers for successful titles, but it has declined to offer clarification on this point. Now that, again, it has declined to offer clarification on this point on how it construes viewers.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Very, very important. As Deadline previously reported, Rings of Power has struggled to match the audience it wrangled in its first season, down around 50% in its debut weekend, according to data from Samba TV. Wow, I'm actually really shocked that Deadline was talking about that. When season 1 debuted, Amazon touted the series had tailed more than 25 million viewers in its first day, indicating that it likely hit the 40 million mark much faster than season 2. It's common for a series to lose some of its audience between seasons, especially given that it's actually not common for a series to lose some of its audience between seasons, especially if the season is good. If the show is good, people want to tune in. You're supposed to not see that kind of thing. Attenuation is bad. Rings of Power has been faced with a steeper than usual decline, though it is entirely possible that it will reclaim some of that audience by the end of the season. It's also entirely possible that the exact opposite will happen and that it will lose more of its audience than it did in the first season. How low can it go? How low can it go? That's what happened with HBO's House of the Dragon, which saw a 22% decline for its season 2 premiere, but was able to grow over the course of the season to finish strong. Yeah, this ain't no House of the Dragon, folks. Season 1 of The Rings of Power also reigned over the Nielsen streaming charts when it debuted, racking up 1.25 billion minutes viewed in its first week. Nielsen's reporting is about a month delayed, so data for season 2 won't be available until later in September, though it will very likely make the charts despite the drop in viewership. We'll see. We'll see, because we all remember how the Acolyte dropped off the Nielsen charts. It says ring, and then this is just the thing. Okay, so all that sounds well and good for Jennifer Salke and Amazon Prime, right? Well, let's take a look at what some other outlets have to say. Now, this one comes to us over from Gizmodo, and it says Amazon's Rings of Power Season 2 viewer numbers might not be as great as they seem.
Well, how about that?
The company reports that the Prime Video series has reached 40 million viewers globally in 11 days, which certainly sounds impressive. And this is by Cheryl Eddy, published on September the 10th. Now, Prime Video returned to Middle-earth August 29th with a 3-episode drop, ushering in the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power Season 2. Marketing for the new season played up how action-packed it would be, an important quality to highlight after complaints about Season 1's glacial pacing. That is certainly something that it had. And by the way, Season 2 is no better. It does not have more action. It is just as slow and plodding. It also stirred up excitement by teasing the introduction of fan favorite Tolkien character Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil sucks. I'm sorry. I hate that part of the book. I hate that part of Fellowship. We get to that part. I'm like, oh, stop singing already and get back to the ring. But the first viewing numbers are here, and they suggest that maybe Amazon still has some work to do. Well, that certainly sounds a lot different from what we read in the last article. Now, Variety reports that season 2 of the series has reached 40 million viewers globally in 11 days. Now, this data comes from Amazon.
This is a lie.
But the trade notes that contextualizing these numbers is not as simple as it seems because, quote, Amazon has not defined how it quantifies its viewership. For example, 40 million could simply be the number of people who watched any portion of the available episodes, as in somebody who popped on in a second of it, saw Galadriel in name only, and said, nope, I'm out.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Or maybe they saw Sauron turn into a schloopy black goop and venom his way around until he got run over by a cart. And this is important because one of the pieces of viewership information that emerged after season 1 was while a lot of folks started watching The Rings of Power, far fewer actually watched it through to the season 1 finale. In April 2023, they reported to me that 37% of people finished it. So yes, we did know that. And while 40 million viewers in 11 days sounds like a robust turnout, it's not quite as magical when you consider that season 1 had 25 million viewers in a single day when it premiered its first 2 episodes to critical acclaim. Come on September 1st, 2022. Well, actually, it did have critical acclaim because it had critical acclaim from the Shill media. It was the fans that were like, this is garbage. For a comparison, another high-profile Prime Video series, video game adaptation Fallout, debuted earlier in 2024 with a binge drop as opposed to Rings of Power's weekly rollout and scored 65 million global viewers in its first 16 days. Still, Amazon remains optimistic about its time in Middle-earth.
Fools! Idiots! Imbeciles!
It even seems some viewers are playing catch-up with those season 1 episodes they might have missed. A staff memo, and we already know what the staff memo says. But this is interesting, guys. It seems like Amazon might be hiding things from us.
Weird.
So much like the movie Clue, here's how it could have happened. Here's another way it could have happened. And here's what actually happened. This comes to us from That Puck Place from Editor-in-Chief John F. Trent. Viewer data shows The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power total watch time declined by over 51% in its third week. It's already in the Acolyte territory. Now, that is not good territory to be in. New viewership data from Luminate reveals that The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power total watch time for its third week declined by over 51%. Data analytics company Luminate reports that The Lord of the Rings of Power only garnered 372.7 million minutes watched for the week of September 6th through September 12th. That is 51% less than the show's second week, where it garnered 764.7 million minutes watched. In the first week, the show only garnered 63.2 million minutes watched, albeit it was only available to watch for a single day in Luminate's weekly window. Variety reported that the show failed to chart in the top 10, but it was instead 37th on Luminate's chart in its first week. That's appalling. Now, obviously, the second week should have gotten significantly more watch time because Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios released 3 episodes right off the bat with a total runtime of 204 minutes, while the 4th episode, which debuted on September 4th, only has a total runtime of 65 minutes, and the 5th episode's runtime, which debuted on September 11th, is just 61 minutes. Now, John says, only 65, only 61 minutes. Man, with this show, 61 minutes is an eternity. Let me tell you something. As somebody who's currently trying to make his way through these episodes, it is an absolute slog. It reminds me of The Acolyte, but in a way that, how do I even describe this? The Acolyte was horrifically bad, don't get me wrong, but I found some emotion in watching it. A lot of it was anger, obviously, because of what they were doing to Star Wars, but, it was easy to make fun of. It was easy to kind of, create content off of. This, though, there's just nothing. It's just a void. There's absolutely nothing beneath the surface. It's the most hollow, vapid project I have ever encountered in all of my years. Not as many years as some, but I do okay. However, the fact that the second week only hit a peak of 764.7 million has to be disastrous for Prime Video, given Nielsen reported back in 2022 that the first week of the show's 2-episode premiere raked in 1.253 billion minutes watched. Now, those first 2 episodes only had a total runtime of 132 minutes. Even if you gave Prime Video the best case scenario, the show only brought in around 4.6 million viewers. That's 4.06, by the way, not 4.6. 4.06 million viewers. That's way down compared to the estimated 9.5 million viewers the first season brought in. A decline, as John points out, of 57.2%. Now, Luminate is not the only data analytics company that shows Prime Video's Lord of the Rings of Power has seen massive viewership fall off within its second season. Samba TV reported it only tracked 902,000 U.S. households watched the first episode of Season 2 within the first 5 days. The new season of Rings of Power is out with 902,000 U.S. households tuning in to watch the first episode. What do you think of the new season? It's garbage. Now, that was down from 1.8 million that tuned in for the Season 1 premiere over just 4 days. Now, that's a whopping decline of 49.8%. Not only are the premiere viewership numbers way down for Season 2, but it appears people who checked out the premiere for Season 2 are already abandoning the show. IMDb review scores for each episode of Season 2 have fallen from episode to episode. As of writing, the first episode had 12,000 views, the second 10,000, and the third 9,900. The fourth had 7,600, and the newly released 5th episode had just 4,100 reviews. The decline from the first episode to the 5th is currently 65.8%, and that decline from the first to the 4th is 36.6%. All of this data appears to lend credence to a report in The Hollywood Reporter from April 2023. Kim Masters revealed that 63% of individuals who watched part of the show's premiere back in 2022 did not complete the show. Nevertheless, Prime Video attempted to refute much of this data by issuing an ambiguous claim that with 40 million global viewers and counting, thank you to the fans for making Rings of Power the #1 Prime Video show in the world. Yeah, you're lying. You're just flat out lying. Not only is the company posting ambiguous posts to try and shape the narrative that people are not leaving this show en masse, but the showrunners continue to attack the fans of J.R.R. Tolkien and The Lord of the Rings.
Fools! All of you!
Showrunner J.D. Payne told The Hollywood Reporter, the Fellowship had to look to each other and those who support it and remember what it's fighting for. And when we see that millions of people are watching this and responding so positively to it, that's who we're fighting for. And those who watch every episode and negatively write about it on social media and make YouTube videos, we're happy to have you guys too. It wouldn't be a journey through Middle Earth without some trolls along the way.
Son of a...
The Fellowship? Really? You're comparing yourself to the Fellowship? You absolute gobsmacker. I don't even know if that's a real insult. I might have just made that up. But you know what? Nothing in my regular vocabulary did justice to what I was thinking about J.D. Payne in that moment. The strategy did not work for Lucasfilm's The Acolyte. It is unlikely to work out for Prime Video. Sounds right. In fact, The Rings of Power is already at the Acolyte levels. Luminate reported the show garnered 380.5 million minutes watched in its second week, then fell to 262 million by its third week before falling. It did fail. It was failing too. It was a Freudian slip. To 232.2 million in its fourth week. By the show's fifth week, it fell off Luminate's top 10 chart with viewerships below 282 million. And now, here's the important thing to note, guys. The Acolyte had a budget of $180 million. They spent $1 billion on The Rings of Power. I mean, like, there was just $1 billion to get the rights, but they also spent $500 million on that first season, that abysmal, awful, terrible first season. The first season cost more money than all three of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies combined. And think of how good those movies still look, how well they hold up. It's like the Omni-Man thing where it's like, look what they need to mimic even a fraction of our power. So the Acolyte failed. The Acolyte was canceled. The Acolyte's not coming back, but Amazon seems wholly intent on trying to squeeze 5 seasons out of this. I can't imagine if more people are falling off this thing, if they're going to keep trying to go for another 3 seasons. But what do you guys think? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. I want to hear it. Let's have a dialogue. Let's talk about this wretched show and compare it to that other wretched show and decide which one is more wretched. The Rings of Power and The Acolyte have a lot in common. Both are prequel shows based on wildly popular source material. Both sought to take the existing IP and modern day it up, creating an ethnic rainbow of inclusive diversity, even in places where it didn't make a lick of sense. Both of them had a fundamental misunderstanding of the source material that led to tone-deaf scripts that failed to catch on with fans. Both were conceived and created by self-professed super fans who turned out to be activist hacks with no actual knowledge of the IP they claimed to love. Both saw massive audience drop-offs over 8 episodes with fan apathy crashing like a tidal wave, but the comparisons I'm drawing here are between The Acolyte and Rings of Power Season 1, an 8-episode arc of mediocrity and failure. Now, the difference here is that The Acolyte will never have a second season, and that was a show that cost $180 million. Disney saw the returns and said, oof, not doing that again. And we're talking Disney, the wokest company on the planet. Amazon has spent $1 billion on this. That's billion with a capital B. And they saw a 63% drop-off from season 1 and said, yeah, let's do this again. And so I pose the question to you, dear viewers, will Amazon cut its losses if and when this trend continues to the end of this wretched season 2? Will they stay the course and give us these 5 seasons come hella high water? Or will they follow in the footsteps of Lucasfilm and dump this dead weight to focus on creating some actual quality entertainment free of the influence of J.J. Abrams and his disciples? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And a huge special thanks to our channel members who I had a great time chatting with Friday on our first ever members only live stream. By becoming a Tooneytown TV member, you can access exclusive streams, enjoy content like Marv's Theme Park Rundown and Kevin Apollo's Rants, which are never seen by the general audience. Plus, you get early access to future Tooneytown TV videos. And I hope you'll all join me on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tooney Talk TV. It's our live stream public pop culture podcast where you can make your voice heard as a vital part of that Tooneytown community. If you liked what you saw here today, please like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon to get notified of new videos as they drop. From all of us here at the Tooneytown channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!